imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
Hello.
Hi.
First, could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Chiara Trapanese. I'm 25 years old and I live here in Bologna, even though my hometown it's in the east part of the region. I come from Ravenna province and I moved here to study, and I'm still living here because my studies aren't over. I did my bachelor degree in foreign languages and I'm now trying to study music therapy. After this 3 years of foreign languages, I'm really fond of foreign languages, but still I believe music is much more than a hobby, so I'm trying to work with music much more than with foreign languages.
Yeah, good. It's interesting. Music therapy, I don't really know this type of degree in French.
Yeah. It's something new also in Italy. Well, not really new, but still it's not professional. It's not recognized as a professional profile, still not. The Music Therapists Association are trying to be more and more, how to say, to be more and more present, I would say, on the, wow, in Italy, to be like, to make the professional profile more and more important.
Okay, interesting. And during your study, do you have any experience in culture and youth field?
I first took part in a Youth in Action project. I did this really cool youth exchange in Serbia, and it was a wonderful week with Serbian guys and other guys from Macedonia, from France, from Belgium. It was really, well, really interesting, and I really loved the place we were staying in. And it was on European awareness, and I guess the results were really interesting for us, because we found out that Italian people are not European aware, and while Macedonian and Serbian guys are much more interested in European campaigns, European projects than we are, and they are much more aware of the presence of Europe, and I guess that was really cool. And after that project, I did this Erasmus project, overseas project. I've lived in China for 1 year, and when I was there I discovered that I really love working with children, with kids in school. So that was not only teaching English, but also I was teaching them our culture, though sometimes I was talking a lot about different countries, the way we think, the way we live, and that was really interesting. And at the same time, when I was in China, I started working as a singer in bars and clubs. And when I came back to Italy, I thought, okay, these are two things I really love. I want to keep doing them. So I'm now trying to work with kids and musical education for little kids, and also for, well, adolescents, even though they're much more difficult to deal with. compared to kids, of course, and of course keep singing and playing for gigs and performance, and
Okay.
that's almost it.
Oh, interesting experience, I think. In the Serbia internship, what is the goal exactly? The objective on your
Of
of the
the
project?
travel. It was, of course, to discuss and understand the level of awareness we have of the European project, of the presence of Europe as an, I would say, an authority, someone who can actually give money for projects, who can actually help us. And at the same time, of course, the other aim was to create link and connection between the countries that were meeting. And I think at the end it was, of course, to discover these other countries. Like, for example, before going there, we as Italian really had no knowledge about Macedonia as a country, and we felt really stupid because one of the game we played was, what do you know about France? And of course we know baguette and French songs. And what do you know about Serbia? And that was all the war and all the really bad stuff. And what do you know about Macedonia? Oh, nothing. And that was really funny.
Okay. Arthur, can you tell us something about your traineeship at the association Yukari?
Oh yeah, of course, I forgot that.
No.
In the youth and culture activities. Okay, this year I've studied for the whole year children and children literature, and of course books for children and adolescents. And it was an amazing year for my studies. I really had fun. And after these studies I had to do a traineeship, and I found this association which is an association really active here in Bologna. It's small, not so many people, and I actually I worked a lot with, I would say, she's not the boss, but of course she's one of the more active people inside the association, and her name is Simona. And we actually did some I would say workshops in schools. They were like workshops about theater and music in schools with children aged, well, from 9 to 20 or 13 years old. And we create a really big performance at the end, and it was very nice to work with these kids. And at the same time, on the other side, we also we took part in the project Comenius, which was linked also to UNET Association, and we talked to kids about Bologna in the middle age, better. And I also did some things about the circus. I do not see that. Like with the balls.
Yes.
Right here. And I guess that's almost that. Oh no, we also did a radio program, and I took part in this radio program about children literature, but not just children. Sometimes it was, we were talking about books for maybe 17 or 18-year-old guys, and they were always books about you know, some really hot topic in nowadays life, as for example violence on women, and that was a really great part of the traineeship. Ucali is a good association. It has good moral, I think, ideas. It has really good ideas.
Okay, really interesting. It's online radio or?
No, it's on Radio Città Fujiko, which is a local radio, and it was a real pity because last year it used to be every week for a whole year, every week, every Sunday, 1 hour program. But this year, because of course, well, Simona does this program for free. There's no money to do these kind of things. So it's always her, and it's always her going around looking for books, talking with people, and she doesn't always have the, I would say also the energy to do this. And it's a real pity because this year we did like five Saturdays, not more than that, and the program was not an hour anymore but half an hour. So it's, I don't know, it's something that maybe she's losing energy for it, and we cannot find someone who can finance, can give us funds to actually help this program. It's a pity.
Okay. In this association, what is the percentage of under 35 and over 35 years old?
It is a bit difficult because this association has not actually volunteers nor employees. There are a bunch of people that actually work from time to time with this association, and I guess under 35, not so many people. Of course I'm one of them, but not so many people. But even over 35, not so many people, because it is a small association, and I would rather say maybe 50-50, but I'm not really sure about it. I actually worked a lot with Simona, but not that much with other people, except for one of the musicians that works, always work with this association, and I think he's under 35.
Okay. Maybe how many volunteers and employees are in this Morphans volunteers, but they change really often? Or?
Yeah, I would say there are no volunteers, no volunteers and no employees, but people that work with this association work with occasional contracts. So it's like when you have a project that you can work with in the association, you actually get a contract and you will be paid for that. And if you don't have a project to work with the association, I think, well, I don't know exactly why they use this kind of.
You said about Simona, who is founder of the association. There are other people than this?
Yeah, there are other people. Some, of course, some of her friends, some musicians, some member of a family, and I think that's almost it.
Okay.
But of course she's one of the more active. She's the the main promoter, I would say, of the association.
Is there any salary difference between young girls and over 35 years old in Ucali?
Yeah, I actually asked her because I was doing a traineeship in Ucali, so I was not supposed to be paid. And they told me, of course, no difference. You know, you're paid per hour, so it's, I think, the salary per hour, it's already fixed. And then you get paid for the hours you do.
Okay, it's interesting. Any different, just no difference. It's really good. But more often, association make a difference between volunteers and real employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not the case here.
Good. Do you see any gender imbalance regarding salary and responsibilities issue in this?
That's really a funny question because, you know, you see gender imbalance always like men more than women. In this case, women are more than men. So that's really funny because I met much more women that actually collaborate with the association and really few boys. So no, there are no imbalance. You're still paid per hour and the payment is fixed. The real problem is that sometimes you don't work, and it's really difficult sometimes to work with this kind of contracts. It means that you create a project, you go to schools and other association, and you try to make the project real, but if you don't find people that actually want to take part, or a school that wants to let me say buy the project, you will not work. So I guess the real imbalance is in the fact that it's really difficult sometimes to make this cultural projects real. That's the real imbalance, I would say.
Okay. After we know you are a singer in an Irish folk band called Connemara Lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned from this experience? What is the impact it has left on you?
The Connemara lullabies are like my first love. I started singing not so much time ago, maybe 5 years, and for me it was really important to start singing with a band that was not just a band but also a small family, and that's what Connemara lullabies are for me. And yeah, it's much more like playing with brothers and sisters, I would say, and they're really good friends, and yeah, for me it's always great fun to play with them. They're not my first band, but I guess now they are the oldest band I'm playing with. We've been playing together for 4 years, even though they already existed, and yeah, it's great fun.
Okay. You have had an interesting experience with song theater. Can you please briefly tell us something about it? Exactly the aims, different resources.
2 years ago, I discovered this singer and songwriter from America, and her name was Laza de Sela, and I completely fell in love with her. And after a few months, I was asked from my I would say guitar teacher, she was also a friend, but I was asked to take part in this project which was centered on, the project focused on this Laza de Sela songs, and it was very, very nice because this girl actually created a project which put together lots of people. We are 10, and I cannot say band, we're not just a band, we are a group of people, a group of artists. Yeah, that's what we are. There are 6 musicians, 2 singers, a dancer and an actor. And it was really interesting because we put together our skills. We come from different fields, from different, we had different backgrounds, and so we could put together really different skills. As for example, the actor is also the author of our texts. So he wrote some small stories, and we put these stories in our performance. And these stories are really amazing. I love this way of writing. And the dancer worked a lot in theater and theater-related performances. So she was our outside eye. She kept looking at us from outside, and she said, maybe you should move in this way, or you should do this kind of movements of, and she made me dance, and that for me was really tough at the beginning, but after that it was a new experience for me, and it was great. And one of the girls is really good at organizing things, and so she actually became the boss, the one who call people, who take the she writes emails, she calls people, and she tries to find gigs, and that's really fun. And each one who has a skill can put it together with other, and you actually create a group in which a lot of skills are together, and the result is, I think it's a really good result. For me, it was the first time I had the chance to play with professional musicians, and it was the first time I really had the chance to think about how a performance is in I would say it was the first time for me to think about how do I stay on the stage? How do I look at people? What should I say with this song? It was a really interesting.
Yes, at the end it's not just singing, it's
No,
just
absolutely.
create a group and just to commune experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might sound stupid, but if you go for rehearsals and you have to be together for 4 hours, if someone can cook well, and he takes some food at the rehearsal, you'll have much better time than if you're there and you're hungry and you're tired. And it's really good because you put together, of course, skills, but also I would say human, I don't know the word for that, humanity, humanità, something really, we are friends, and we work together, and it's good.
You discover just not the competence of each people,
Yeah.
but discover the people.
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
How do you think roles in the culture are perceived in your community compared with other well-paid jobs?
Works in the culture,
How do you think roles in the culture are perceived in the community?
Okay. Yeah, I would say Well, they are seen as they are on another level, of course. Although well paid, I would say fixed paid jobs. I guess one of the big difference is that if you work in an office, you'll get a fixed salary, almost a fixed salary. If you work in the cultures, or better to say, my experience as a musician and as a person who wants to work with kids in music, or as a singer, you never get the same, you don't really have a salary. Sometimes you don't even have contracts, and it's like you really never know each month how much money you're gonna get. And for me, of course, my mom is still helping me, thanks to God, but it's really difficult because I've chosen this path, and I feel like I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. First, I was a really good student. I was really much into studies, and I was supposed to get, well, maybe to find a good jobs with foreign languages. But when I decided to change path and to go through the music path, I really felt like, oh God, I actually feel a bit unsafe, you know. I spend my day rushing from one point to the other, from one place to the other place of the city, running because I cannot be late, but then it's like I do a traineeship here, I go sing there, I come home and I still have to think, because the great thing, I think it's much of a mental work, so you always have to think, to find new things, but at the end of the month you don't really know how much money you're gonna earn from that. And in Italy we have this bad habit of not paying the cultural work. It's like, it's really a bad habit. Musicians are not considered workers sometimes, and it's a big problem. I would say a huge problem here in Bologna. It's a really huge problem.
Okay, so it was a difficult situation for this part.
Yeah, absolutely. And in Bologna, I guess it's really much more difficult than maybe in other small cities, because I cannot say why, but sometimes small towns, small municipality, if they want to find a band to play in their hometown, in their towns, they are ready to pay for them, because they know there is, it's something maybe new to have a band, or maybe they see the work of the people that are going to play there. In Bologna and in big cities, they will be able to find a lot of musicians and people who can actually go there for small amounts of money. I know it's not just money, but still, if I have to eat and if I have to go to the supermarket and buy food, I need to earn some money from the work I'm doing. And sometimes it's really difficult. You say no to jobs that you actually need because the salary is really low. You feel like, oh God, my work is worth that few money. I mean, I'm at home studying and trying to find new songs and trying to, and then people ask you to go for free, and oh God, come on.
Okay. Do you have any link with local authorities and public bodies? Do you have any support from them?
Okay, well, no.
Okay.
I would say no.
Yeah.
I've sometimes worked for some associations, or yeah, I would say just that, not more than that.
Okay. So no. And what about young people in your community? How do they perceive the role of cultural association and culture in society?
Mhm. I think the overall perception of working in culture is, as I told you, a really unsafe field to go work in. You really, if you decide to go and work with culture, and that's really strange because you know we are in Italy and it's full of art and music, and we have a really, I would say, a big cultural background, but still working in the cultural area, it's really not well paid first. And then I think sometimes if you really wanna, it's great to have volunteers and it's great to work for free and to be really happy and active in some fields, but always working with volunteer, I think it doesn't really, it means you don't have people that have studied and are prepared on that particular thing. As for example, if you go in a museum and you wanna have a guided tour, it's great to have a free guided tour because there is a guy who is interested in art and can take you around and tell you the thing he knows. But sometimes it's good and it's really important to have someone who has studied and to take you around because he's there because he has studied for that. So it's he's well prepared in that field and he will be much better prepared than other people. And I would say, yeah, that's almost how it is perceived. It's something that everyone can do, but that's not true. I know it's great, it's really great to have people participating in a lot of things, but sometimes you also need some professional profiles to do some jobs. But it's really difficult if these professional profiles are not well paid. I don't really want to make too many complaints, but to me, as I'm now trying to go to that through that path, it's difficult. It's really difficult, and that's it.
Okay. So, does your government support youngsters find jobs in the culture?
Well, supporting people in finding a job in the culture, well, I would say rather no, but it's that's not exactly 100% exactly. If you see the university, we have plenty of I don't know, maybe Italian literature, arts, and also music university. We have plenty of courses that are linked to cultural jobs. So you can really study a lot of things that can take you to a cultural jobs. The problem at the end is really finding the job, a good job. I mean, you know, it's a bit frustrating when you think I would like to have I don't know, a family when I grow up, and I know plenty of friends that are really good musicians, and they don't have how to say a fixed place. They don't have a fixed job. They change year by year, as for example teachers also do, and it's really difficult for them to plan to have a family. It's difficult because you know, sometimes works that are linked with intellectual skills and with mental things need also people to feel safe, to feel they don't have to rush around, and yeah, I think that's a really big problem when you don't feel safe.
Finally, something more general on the relationship between culture and employment. Do you think that young people are given the opportunity by the authorities to work in the cultural fields?
I would say, of course, the opportunity is given, as for example, there are plenty of volunteer projects that can actually make you work in the cultural fields. But if we want to talk about working as a real job, that's a bit different and a bit more difficult, I would say. And yeah, that's it.
And when and which condition? I mean, for the young people, when they can work in the cultural field, it's
When?
yes. When which condition they are for?
I don't get the question. Sorry.
I don't know. It's a question from primary campus.
Thank you, Carlos.
Because we have this, and when in which condition it's from yes, young people for fine.
I think the idea is like tourism season, or if it's during more winter, or like Bologna, it's a student city. During August, nobody inside.
Yeah.
It's the same for all the Italy, just your impression for this problem.
Yeah, I would say really in general, but it's difficult. There are a lot of things that I've already said, and that, yeah, of course, sometimes culture and employment are related to season, and that's as for example tourism, and but still, and this also underlines what I said before. If you work in summer because there are a lot of tourists, and you don't work in winter, maybe that makes you feel really unsafe, because what will you do in winter to earn your salary, to be independent? And I think the connection between culture and employment are, you know, I think the problem is that a farmer make some seeds grow, and then he gets, I don't know, the fruit, and he sells something material, and he gets some money for that. So that's how the market works. You sell things and you get the money for that, and it's always really a concrete action. On the other side, cultural works are much more related on intellectual activities that are not always seen, that you cannot touch with your hands. And I think that's the fact that you cannot really see them or touch them makes them, yeah, in the general view, makes them less important. And well, that's it. Yeah, it's really difficult to talk about this topic in, yeah.
Yes. So what are the obstacles for supporting culture as a job in Italy? It's the money. So
I think, yeah, of course the money, but also the general way of thinking of people. As I said, if you don't touch, or if you don't see, if you don't have the thing you want to have, like I would say we became really materialistic maybe, materialistic culture. Like we don't pay attention to things we cannot touch. I'm always saying the same thing. I'm sorry. I'm boring myself.
no, it's okay. No, but it's normal. Don't worry.
Okay, fine.
So,
Yeah, also the questions are a bit fine.
Thanks, Ricardo. In which way cultural activities can foster economic and human development?
Oh, that's, of course they foster human development. I mean, it's great when you can make other people think, and you can make them feel something new, think about different points of views, and it's great. I mean, culture makes you grow up, not in a physical way, but in awareness way, I would say, in a mental way, in an intellectual way, and has a human being, in the most deep definition of human being. I mean, I don't want to say too many big things, but we're different from animals because we produce art, and of course some chimpanzee can make really good painting, but I would still prefer other artists. And as for economy, I guess it's pretty simple to say that Italy, especially Italy, has a really big cultural background, and we're full of churches and really and museums and art and crafts and music and traditions, and it would be pretty easy to try to improve tourism, but I would say good tourism, like a clever tourism, I would say, which is not just the seaside and the clubs at night, but also the cities and the museums, and giving a good, I'd say, offerta. Offerta.
Offerta, perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we understand.
God, it doesn't come to
Proposition.
offer. Yeah, it's offer.
Offer.
Yeah, if you can offer a good servizio.
Yes, a good service, a good proposition.
If you are ready to welcome tourists with a good offer in tourism, as for example, museums that are ready to I don't know, to have interesting things, and are ready to renew themselves. Yeah, we could invest a bit more money. Yeah, for yeah, a concrete example, we have an amazing music museum here in Bologna, and it's really nice. There's plenty of instruments from really the old times, and you go there and you can just see them from 1 meter, and of course you cannot touch them, but you don't even hear the sound they make. There is, well, it's a music museum, but there's no music inside. There are just objects.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, I don't know, I feel it's a paradox. Really a paradox.
To what extent could culture be an opportunity to overcome youth unemployment?
I think it would be a great way of fighting the youth unemployment, and it means that the government must be ready to invest in this sector, in this area. And I think there's plenty of young people that would be ready to start working. Even starting tomorrow, they would be ready to work in the cultural fields. And I think it would be really, really interesting also for people that are studying in university, like part-time jobs. People that studies in university are sometimes too much on books and not enough in real stuff. That's what I felt when I was studying foreign languages. I was really a lot in studying, but I really didn't speak out that much. And if you could put like this cultural jobs as a way of also making real what we study in university, that would be, I think, good, because students could actually they could study, and at the same time they could earn some money as a pocket money to be able to be independent. And you know, when you study in university, you feel you are fresh, you are mentally really fresh and ready to do this kind of activities. I think it would be really a good solution.
Yeah. Okay. How could the cultural youth work be better supported, in your opinion?
Better supported. Oh, yeah. I already said money, but it's not just money, of course. I think money is the second step. The first step is that we should start, we should change our perception of cultural works. And if we could change our perceptions and give much more value to what cultural work means, we would be ready to invest much more on that. But well, I don't know. I think from one side it should come from, you know, the roots, from us as citizens. But of course from the other side it must come from the governments. So it should be like all together we should be much more aware of these matters. And is that a dream? I hope not.
I think not. So what should be done to improve it?
As I've already said, I think it's great to have the European community, which actually give funds to projects, and I think that's really great. That's really important, because when I was younger, when I was a kid, and when I was a student in middle school and also high school, I didn't feel the presence of the European Union that much as I do now. Now I see that it's much more evident. But I think, yeah, it's really good to have the European Union from one side, and on the other side there are lots of people that are ready to write projects, to meet each other, to create networks, and trying to make arts and music and something accessible for all. And that's
why do you think it's important for the government to invest in culture and in young people, and for young people to invest in culture?
I think I already said that, but don't worry. I will keep saying always the same thing. It's bad for you, not for me. Why is it important? Okay, for people, as I already said, because it makes you I would say okay, it makes you open-minded. It's great when you can always feel that you are changing your point of view, you're changing your way of thinking. It's like a road that you are walking on, and you always change direction, because you keep growing, and it's really good. It makes you absolutely open-minded and ready to listen to people, and ready to accept things you wouldn't have accepted before, and refuse things sometimes really really strongly. It makes you much more aware of what you are ready to accept and what you are not ready to accept, and it's really interesting. It's sometimes a personal growing. Yeah, I don't find the right words, but that's almost what I wanted to say. And on the side of the government, I think making it way too simple, but it's a way of course of foster economically the country and the countries, because I think it's something more general. I'm sure they could make good money out of it, but they are still too much into, to oil, into building things, into showing, yeah, that's something I've noticed. Governments have to show that what they have done is good. So sometimes they build things. They have to show with really concrete stuff. While if you invest in culture, the results are not evident in 5 minutes. You'll see the results in years. I think all of us has something that has really touched us deeply when we were kids, and we still take these things with us after years and years. And as for me, for example, I don't know, some books, some songs that I've learned when I was a kid, and I keep singing them, or I keep having some ideas with me in years, and that's the cool things, that when you invest in culture, when you it makes you richer in a longer period, but in a much in a much more real way, I would say.
I hope someday